Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of nwChats. And today my guests with me are from Cockroach Labs. So we have Richard and Amruta here. And to kick things off, I'd love it if the two of you give a quick introduction about yourself and what you do at Cockroach.
Okay.
Let's kick it off with you, Richard.
Well, yeah. Hi, I'm Richard. I'm a software engineer at Cockroach Labs. I recently just started full-time in January after doing 8 months of interning in 2020.
I'm Amrita. I'm the developer advocate at Cockroach Labs. I have been at the company for more than 3.5 years now, and I was on the education team writing documentation, and I recently switched to developer advocacy.
Awesome. So I'm going to get right into it. And the first thing I will ask will just be a very cliche question, which I'm sure a lot of people want to know about. And it's something that the two of you will have answered many, many, many times over in your life. And that question is, why Cockroach Labs? Richard, why did you choose it as for your full-time position? And Amruta, why have you chosen to stick with it for so long? Back to you, Richard.
All right. So the reason I joined Cockroach Labs full-time was because I had a great time during my intern experience. During my internship, I was able to do really impactful projects. And this really contrasted compared to my previous internships where a lot of the projects I did kind of just got swept away and it wasn't really impactful. But at Cockroach, I was essentially treated as a full-time engineer even during my internship. In fact, when I joined back, the only difference between now and then is that I'm on the on-call rotation. So yeah, it's really nice how the internship went, and yeah, that's all.
I joined Cockroach because my previous experience was kind of related. So I was at an enterprise backup restore company, which is essentially a database. So I found that to be a transferable skill to work at an actual database company. And why I stayed, this is actually the longest I've stayed at a job so far, is because I personally think Cockroach Labs is invested in my career as much as I'm invested in the company. I am on H-1B visa, and my friends have had horror stories about how the whole process goes. But at Cockroach Labs, that was the first time that they won me over, was how well supported I felt during the whole H1B process. Because when I applied 3 years ago, it was not, the world was very different, politically, and it was a very stressful situation. And at all steps of the process, my manager and our HR, head of HR were very supportive, and they were not only taking care of all the legal and financial responsibilities, but checking in with me about how I was doing, how I was handling the stress, and how was my mental health and stuff, which is unheard of when it comes to visa stuff. So that was the first time they won me over, and since then, again, I think it comes down to having a really good manager. My manager was very invested in my career, where I wanted to be. And even this job change, shift from tech writing to developer advocacy, I was essentially leaving his team, but he was the one advocating for me of we have this new role. She's the perfect person for this job. You need to let her have it. So having people believe in you and advocating for you when you are not present in those conversations is something that is pretty rare. And I'm lucky that I found it at Cockroach Labs. Sorry, that was a very long answer.
That actually sounds really amazing, because I know we are all in a very special situation right now with the pandemic, and even many job seekers right now are very worried because once they accept an offer, it's will that still be mine in a couple months? So I think finding a company that that has your back, that you trust, and that you can stick with for the until the end of the days is actually, it's a good feeling. So I'm very happy that you found that at Cockroach. And I guess I kind of want to press a little further into these questions. Richard, I know you mentioned about working on an intern project. Can you sort of explain the difference between working on an intern project versus maybe just picking up regular tickets from your team? Have you seen pros and cons between those? And which one do you personally prefer?
Yeah, so to preface this, when I say intern project, it isn't really an intern project in the sense that you're just doing it to to play around and the team doesn't really have anything for you. It's what we give you is actually one of our roadmap items that we actually want to go into the next release of Cockroachdb. And so like these projects are scoped out in such a way that a full-time engineer like likely would have done it. If you haven't, they might have taken less time, but it was something that was going to be done. So you're actually doing really meaningful work. And also when you're doing like regular tickets along this, it's usually like you're not it's pretty optional what you actually want to do. So if you find like these small issues, these small bugs on the database side, you can just pick it up and do that. But yeah, a lot of times people actually just focus on their internship project, and they optionally pick up these tickets on the side if they really want to. And in that way, like you can just do what a regular engineer will do on the team.
So there is some flexibility in that you get ownership of a project that you can talk about later, and at the same time, you do feel integrated with the team, because at the end of the day, it's still like a feature that has to be done.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And then I guess, Amruta, a follow-up. You've talked about growth and having a good relationship with management and like really building up your career. So for all the new grads who have just recently entered the industry and interns who are about to start their first jobs, what are ways that I guess at Cockroach, you get the opportunity to continuously develop and grow, both professionally and like maybe on the technical side?
Sure. So my favorite policies that we have in place that I have made a lot of use of are that we have Flex Fridays, which is essentially like they let you decide how you want to spend your Fridays for most teams. And the way I use Flex Fridays is to learn new tech stacks. And I also have a YouTube channel where I make videos about tech writing. So that's like my ongoing Flex Friday project. And so when you think about continuous learning, you think about resources in terms of money and time. So Flex Fridays is the way they give you time. And then we also have a Learning is Good budget, which is $2,500 per year that you get to choose on. Like you can spend on conferences or courses or books. We also have a new coaching option. If you want to have a career coach come in and help you map out the next steps of your career, you have that option now. So yeah, those are the two of my favorite programs at Cockroach Labs are the Flex Fridays and the Learning is Good budget.
That actually sounds truly amazing. It's very nice to see a company that supports and uses and like gives their employees the time to continue to grow beyond their own work. Mm-hmm. I guess let's go and follow up and talk about internship opportunities, because with that, I'm sure many people are dying to know, how can I get a job at Cockroach Labs? So to kick things off, when are the recruiting cycles? So when can people start seeing applications roll out for each of the seasons?
So the summer season is already full. I think the fall internship starts soon, mid-March or end of March. And also the new grad engineering roles will be open by then.
Okay. And does Cockroach hire for all of the seasons, so fall, summer, and winter, or will there only be summer internships generally?
No, we have fall, summer, winter, and something else that I'm not thinking of. What's the fourth season?
Well, I think that covers. Wait, does that cover it?
It's in 4-month cycles. So yeah, we do internships year round, 4 months at a time.
Okay, so perfect. So all year round. And I guess as an intern, when you hire on interns, do interns get a say in what they feel like they would be interested in working on, and how are sort of team matching decisions made?
Yeah, so when you get an offer, they'll follow up with a preference form. And on this form, like when I was an intern, I got 3 options. And there was like, I think 7 teams. And generally, I think every single intern has gotten either their first or second choice for their team preference. So yeah, you do have a lot of choice in which teams you want to be on.
And adding on to that, I think a very commonly asked question are, what are the internship positions available? Are there any design or product management opportunities?
I know we are thinking of product internships, if I'm not wrong. We are thinking
so.
of marketing internships. So like there's a lot of internal conversations about widening the internship opportunities available. I know we have a 1-year associate product manager rotation where you get to work on a bunch of different teams for a year and get more experience that way. But I don't think we have product and design internships right now, but keep an eye out on the careers page.
Exciting. I am excited to see it potentially expand in the future. And so we've talked a little about internships, we talked about experiences, learning, and growth. I think now would be a good time to move a little bit on to Cockroach's product and Cockroach's values as a company. So I think the first question I will kick this off with is, I am a student, and I do find that sometimes in my projects, I have a lot of financial limitations and that I can't be dropping any large amounts of money on subscriptions to support my personal projects. So as someone with a student budget, what are the options for me if I want to try out Cockroachdb?
Richard, you want to take that?
Yeah, I'll answer that. So fortunately, we recently launched our free tier, and that's in beta right now, which will be an always free forever database. So you get, it's almost fully functioning. So we have almost all the features Cockroach Cloud would normally have, except backup and yeah, some other small things that I can't remember right now. But you can use that
Import?
to. Sorry. Oh yeah, import.
Import?
Yeah. So you can use that for all your like smaller projects.
Thank you. I would love if either of you would drop that into the Cockroachdb channel later on, just so our hackers do have access to some of that documentation, and I could probably take a look at that in the future. And I know that Cockroachdb is open source, which is really, really cool to me, but I personally have never contributed to an open source project before, and I am scared. So as a newbie, how do I know which ticket to start on? And what is sort of like the process to start contributing?
Yeah, good question. So the process to start contributing, we have this contributing.md page in the Cockroachdb repo. So that'll tell you how to set up the environment and what you need to actually compile Cockroachdb locally. And for good first issues, we have issues that are tagged easy and good first issue. So you want to look at those if you're just starting out on contributing to Cockroachdb. And some issues are really detailed in how to actually solve the problem. So try looking out for some of those.
That sounds perfect. Thank you very much. Oh, and Arita, were you about to say something?
Yes. I just pulled up the contributing guide. I'll drop a link to it in the Discord channel later. But our docs are also open source. So if code is too intimidating to get started, docs might be an easier way to make a first contribution. And we participate in events like Hacktoberfest, and we make sure that we have tickets open for all tiers of experience. So that might be a good mentored way to get started with open sources, to participate in events like Hacktoberfest.
Thank you. And I guess moving on to still talking a little bit more about Cockroach as a company, you guys are supporting cmd-f, which means you are advocating for diversity as being a part of our event. I guess more of a question about Cockroach is, how does Cockroach as a company itself promote diversity internally?
That's something we have been discussing a lot over the past year. And one of the, I don't know, highlight is probably the wrong word, but like one of the major initiatives we have right now is that we have made it a key result for every department to take active measures to increase diversity, and not just diversity, but make it more inclusive. Like it's not just enough to get people from diverse backgrounds into the company, but they need to feel like they belong there. So diversity and inclusion are some of our top key results. Like we are basically judging ourselves on how well we do on those measures. Yeah. I don't know if that answered the question completely.
I think that does. No, that does. I don't know if this question is too meta, but between just looking at metrics and like instead of just gunning for metrics, what are the ways that you see, or how do you personally know that, like, how do you personally evaluate when you know that you are included in a workplace? Because obviously numbers are hard. It's hard to just be like, I've hired this many women, we are being inclusive.
Yeah.
And like, that's why diversity is so like difficult to be measured, right? So that's why I just wanted to ask a personal question, like between like the two of you, how do you know when you are in an environment where you feel included?
I can go first because this is something that happened instead was we have employee groups on Slack called crews. We call them crews, which are like things that you care about. So we have a crew about POC at Cockroach Labs, people of color at Cockroach Labs, and the way we celebrated Black History Month in Feb was we organized weekly Slack threads to educate, like to learn and educate. Like we kind of pick one Black technologist or somebody that we admire and then learn about their work and then share it on Slack twice a week. We also had a Black comedian come in, and we had a Black chef come in and teach us how to cook a shepherd pie. So I think being able to do things like that, and everybody participated and everybody celebrated it, and nobody was like, why are you doing this, this is a corporate place. Like just having that safe space where proposing ideas like this and then getting again the resources, the finance, the team cooperation to actually make it happen, and to not just, because I think one of the things about diversity and inclusion is that it focuses on problems a lot and it doesn't really celebrate the good things. So being able to do that, to me, signifies that I'm welcome here, and things that matter to me are okay to talk about.
Yes,
Did the
for
same
sure.
thing last year with the Pride Month, where we had a similar program. So, yeah.
Yeah. And we have a really big effort to like make sure everyone's mental health is okay. Like, so for example, I think we actually made it a recent metric to like try and track people's, or make sure like people aren't too stressed. And this is something like your manager will ask you. So if you're stressed, to like, politely tell you to take time off. And yeah, so we have a big effort to like make everyone feel included. And on the diversity front, we also have a dedicated team. I think they meet like weekly to actually discuss these issues. And one of the like objective ways that we are, trying to be more diverse is that we're trying to not hire from people, only people who have a CS background or went to college. So we're actively partnering with Marcy Lab School, which is sort of like a boot camp, but we're actively like hiring from them. And specifically for internships, these are like sort of more underrepresented and less fortunate people, but we're making an effort to like try to hire from these schools as well, and not just CS colleges.
Yeah, actually, that's very interesting because I know, funnily enough, a lot of the job applications that I personally see, they're always like CS background required. And to hear that a company is actively trying to search for people from different backgrounds and experiences is something that is very refreshing to see. I guess the next one is more about Cockroach's future. So it's very cool to me that Cockroach started off as an open source project, and now it's something, it's grown so much. It's now a common enterprise product. And like I've seen on Tech News, like how a lot of different companies have recently started to use Cockroach as a product. So I guess, is Cockroach for sure always going to remain an open source product, even as it continues its growth and becomes like a very large established brand name among companies?
So I guess like technically we aren't open source anymore, or we changed our license from open source to, I think it was based on the BSL. It's either called like the business source license or something else now, but yeah. How it works is that like our code, it's like private for, or sorry, it's not private, it's all on GitHub, but you can't like use it for, or like the reason why we have is to prevent companies like Amazon from just forking our code as soon as we have a release. And what it does is it protects our code for 2 years, and after the 2 years, then it becomes like fully open source, and it's fair game. And the reason we do this is because we believe a 2-year head start is enough. Like we should have enough features released in 2 years such that, you know, you actually want to use the up-to-date version and not the 2-year-old one. And this sort of protects our business. So this is like different open source companies have already switched to this or similar to a BSL license because of, you know, Amazon forking their code and just offering it on AWS.
Definitely loving the confidence on the 2-year thing, though. Yes. Do you have anything to add to that, Amrita?
No, I think Richard covered it all.
Okay,
so we are
perfect.
technically source available, not open source, which is something I have to keep reminding myself.
Awesome. And I guess another question, I'm pretty sure this will be very easily found on your website, but to summarize, what do you two think gives Cockroachdb its competitive edge against other like potential distributed SQL databases?
Well, yeah, so I think the big advantage we have compared to some of the like big Oracle or MySQL, Postgres, like sharding those, is that we scaled up like where we were built, architected specifically to be distributed. So we have each node like can be written and read from. They're all like main nodes compared to where you have to, or Amazon Aurora, where it's like a master follower relationship. You can only have like 2 masters and you're doing your reads and writes from those. And the follower, or you can do reads from the followers, but you can't like write to all the follower nodes. And so like this is a big advantage that we have, is that we were architected specifically to be a distributed database, whereas a lot of the big existing databases are not. And since you mentioned like the specifically what we have against new distributed SQL databases, I think in this space specifically, we have the edge since we're sort of like first to it, or we're based off Google Spanner, which was technically first, but yeah, that Spanner is like more niche, and we're just trying to address the big population by offering like multi-cloud, so you won't be locked onto the Google Cloud platform. And that's also a big advantage for us, is that you can deploy Cockroach on like whatever you want on AWS, Azure, locally.
Yeah, I have a biased answer towards this because I used to work on the Cockroach Cloud team. So I think that's what currently, like in the future, that is, I think, what will be the thing that differentiates us the most. Because I've gone through the pain of setting up Cockroachdb or like other distributed systems by myself. And now I just use Cockroach Cloud. Like I haven't started a local cluster in like ages. So I think as we flesh out Cockroach Cloud and keep on adding more capabilities to it and make it more powerful, we are making data easy and databases easy for not just the enterprises, but for like startups who don't have that manpower of like get Kubernetes or like set up AWS clusters and then run Cockroachdb by yourself. So I think we're taking away the operational burden of it and making it more developer friendly, and that's going to give us an edge in the future.
Yeah, and for sure, you've also got the free tier going for you for the poor students like me who need something to like store their project database on.
Yeah, free tier is really cool.
Yeah, it is awesome. I'm so glad that has been released. We are coming to the last 5 minutes of our interview session, so I think now would be a good time to announce to our audience what the Cockroachdb prize is, the criteria for it, and maybe for those watching, give them a little hidden edge, maybe let them know what you guys are checking out for specifically when you will be grading their projects tomorrow.
So the prize for Cockroachdb, the best use of Cockroachdb is AirPods or a $200 Amazon gift card for each team member, up to 4 team members. The choice is because we realized very late in the game that there are people outside of US and Canada participating, and it's not always easy to ship stuff to them, so they'll get the option of the gift card if they choose that. And that's actually a tricky question to answer about like judging, because of the spectrum of experience of the people here. Yeah, Richard, do you have any ideas there or any suggestions?
So I think just maybe like creative usages, or for example, like using some of their newer features, such as geo or this isn't new, but like CDC, just so we can see that you're really like digging into the features that Cockroach actually offers instead of just using Cockroach as a regular SQL database would be a plus there.
Yeah, I'm going to caveat that by saying that would be a plus, but also don't get intimidated by it because the people at the workshop, I don't know if all of them were familiar with SQL enough to be able to use the advanced features. So whatever your current level is, it's okay if you experiment like a little bit above that. That
Absolutely.
So what I'm hearing is just play around with it. It's okay if like you don't know how to play with all the features, because I don't think I would know either, but this is a good time to learn about a new product. And I think once our hackers get familiar with it, it'll be a lot easier the second time around.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I guess we can really start to wrap things up here. Do any of the two of you have any final words for our hackers?
I do actually, because you reminded me of something that I should have posted in the Discord channel before. If you're new to Cockroachdb, you can take the Cockroach University Getting Started course. And if you complete the course, you get swag. So that's like, even if you can't, if you don't feel confident competing for the best use of Cockroachdb prize, you can still get free swag if you complete the Cockroach University Getting Started course.
And it's pretty easy too. Yeah, you can do it without any SQL experience.
Richard is really out here flexing his knowledge of Cockroach.
No, I mean I didn't know any like database or SQL even before I started working here. So like I had to learn it all from ground up, and it's definitely not as intimidating as it seems at first.
Well, you heard it here, folks. You can go from someone who knows nothing about SQL to someone who can work full-time at Cockroachdb with this course. And yeah, so I guess we can wrap things up here. Thank you so much for being such a big supporter of cmd-f this year. And thank you for taking the time to come out and have this chat with us. I look forward to seeing the both of you tomorrow during judging. And I'm really excited to especially see what our hackers have come up with using Cockroach free tier, or if they chose to use the free trial version of Cloud.
Well, thanks for hosting.
Thanks so much.
Okay, signing off now. Bye, everybody.
Bye.